Grandstand Bettors here with 32 NFL season previews in 32 days. We are on day number 15, almost halfway through, and we're going to continue breaking down the AFC West with a team that finally gets to open up their new stadium to fans, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Before we get into their season preview, just a reminder, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our team previews and all of our season-long NFL free picks right here at Grandstand Bettors. While you're at it, go ahead and smash that like button because we're less than a month away from the NFL kicking off with the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. Now, before we get into that Raiders season preview, we just want to remind you that you have the opportunity to win $1,000 from us here at Grandstand Bettors. All you have to do is head on over to grandstandbettors.com and sign up for our free NFL contest. The link is below in the description, so head on over to grandstandbettors.com, get signed up for that, and who knows, maybe you'll be taking home $1,000 from us here and at Grandstand Bettors. While you're over at grandstandbettors.com, though, don't forget, become part of our family and start living that grandstand life. But without further ado, let's dive in to the Raiders season preview, and to do so, we need to take just a quick look at a recap of 2020. The Raiders had a rather disappointing season last year in John Gruden's second season as head coach. In Week 10, they were 6-3 and had possession of one of the AFC wildcard spots. Now, in the remaining 7 games of the season, they only managed to win 2 games. They lost to the Dolphins by 1, the Chargers by 3 in overtime, and the Chiefs in Week 11 by 4 points, missing the playoffs yet again. To sum up their season in a whole, their offense put up 27 points per game, which was 10th in the league, but their defense gave up 30 points per game, which was 3rd worst in the league. You can imagine how frustrating it would have been to be their offense, who's constantly almost putting up 30 points a game, and they're still losing by a touchdown or more. It is blatantly clear what their issue was last season and where they had to immediately address their offseason for the upcoming 2020 year. Now, they also had a major problem with their offensive line last season, which seems to be a trend for the AFC West. But their issues were mostly due to injuries and lack of depth at certain positions. Looking ahead to their season this year, the Raiders still have a very good offensive weapon core, and with a cleaned-up offensive line, they should be able to put up as many points or even more points as they did last year. The first guy we want to highlight is their tight end. After a very good season in 2019, Darren Waller exploded last year with 107 receptions for well over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. I wish we would have picked him up on our Dynasty Fantasy League, but unfortunately, we do not have him. He is definitely a top 5 tight end in the league right now. Linebackers, they really can't guard him right now because of his speed. Cornerbacks struggle to man mark him because of his size. As long as he stays healthy, you should hear his name well into the future. Now, at wideout, the Raiders have Henry Ruggs III returning, who managed to pick up Willie Snead from the Ravens and John Brown from the Bills. These are great pickups. This is a solid core of receivers, and if you pair him with Waller, or pair both of them with Waller, it's going to be tough for defenses to guard them efficiently. Along with their passing game behind Derek Carr, the Raiders have also a Pro Bowler at running back, Josh Jacobs, a very strong running back who runs downfield hard and tough for anyone in the secondary to bring down. Coming off a 1,000-yard rushing season with 12 touchdowns, Jacobs is far from his prime in only his 3rd season in the NFL. Now, just to help the running game out a little more, they got Kenyon Drake from the Cardinals, who will also provide some good depth at this position and should lighten the load for Jacobs a bit. The offensive line needs to do much better job this year blocking for both of them and creating gaps so they can get up the field and make defenses pay with their speed and their strength. The Raiders' early offseason moves, however, did not seem to be going in the right direction to resolve this issue. They traded away their veteran center, Rodney Hudson, and guard Gabe Jackson, which are now huge spots to fill. One bright spot that they did was they drafted Alex Leatherwood from Alabama. He's most likely going to be their starter right off the bat at right tackle. And as always, we're pretty confident in anything that comes out of Alabama or that Nick Saban has a say in. Now, if you look at their defense, their line was not that horrible last season. Who are we kidding? They were awful. They were devastatingly horrible. They only produced 21 sacks all season, which was 4th fewest in the league. Their secondary was not much better. They ranked 26th in the NFL with only 15 takeaways all season, and that was 3rd fewest in the league. Gruden definitely is aware of this, and that is most likely why the Raiders selected 3 safeties, a linebacker, and a cornerback in 5 out of the 7 of their picks in the draft. Now, we know that not all these picks are going to translate into star players in the league, although we do pick Trayvon Moehrig in the 2nd round out of TCU at safety. It's a good way to start rebuilding this defense, and it's going to provide some depth. And if anything, this team needs desperately, it is some depth at those positions. They were also able to sign defensive edge rusher Yannick Ngakoue. I think I said that right. Let me know if that was wrong. Ngakoue from the Ravens, and cornerback Casey Hayward from the Chargers, who will both be stars and provide some good value to the defense, along with additions of ex-Bill Quentin Jefferson and ex-49er Solomon Thomas. Now, if we get into their schedule here, the Raiders have the 8th hardest schedule in the NFL this year, and a big reason why, it's probably a big reason why their total is only sitting at 7 right now, the same as it was last year. Their first 2 games don't start off easy as they face Baltimore at home and then travel to Pittsburgh. Now, given the state of their defense, we don't see how they could beat the Ravens, but we do see them beating the Steelers, as the Steelers are having probably a down year opposed to previous years. Week 3, they have a nice grudge match against those Dolphins after a 1-point loss in Week 16 last year that essentially eliminated them from the playoffs. So we kind of like them to win that one this time around, but we're going to follow that up with a loss against the Chargers in Week 4. The last 3 games before their bye are against the Bears, Broncos, and Eagles, which we have them going 2-1 there. They probably could win all 3. And then the game against the Giants after their bye week, we have that kind of chalked up as a loss. So we kind of have them going 4-4 going into Week 10. Now the Raiders have to play the Chiefs and Bengals at home, and then the Cowboys away. After that, the next 3 matchups are against all teams that made the playoffs last year. The Washington football team, the Chiefs, and the Browns. Now, given Washington really didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, but they did make the playoffs because of the NFC least. Now, we have them going 1-2 in those games. Don't be surprised if they lose all 3 of them, as they tend to play poorly late in the season when a playoff spot is on the line. Week 16 should be relatively easy, as it's a home game against the Broncos, putting them at 8-7 with 2 games left against the Colts and Chargers, which they'll most likely lose. Now, with the offense that they've been returning and the work they did to their defense in the offseason, this is going to be a better team than last season. One that has 8 wins, and there was no extra game last year. We're going to take the over here of 7. We think Gruden and Carr get it done this year, but will it be enough for a wild card spot? Probably not, but behind the fans in their new stadium, they're at least going to have a 500 record and go over that 7-win total. So, Raider fans, what do you think your team's going to do this season? Put your comments below and let us know your preseason win total predictions for your Las Vegas Raiders. For us here at Grandstand Bettors, that does it for the Raiders season preview. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, we're going to finish up the AFC West with the Denver Broncos. As always, sit back, relax, enjoy the preseason, and we'll see you tomorrow.